it's Melanie. Happy Wednesday. Today is just going to be a little bit more of a vlog style video. For the past couple weeks, I have kind of been thinking about makeup brands that I used to really be obsessed with, or brands that I always looked forward to their new releases, and how my feelings have changed about some of these brands over the years. When I first started out on YouTube back in 2010, I definitely had a fair amount of drugstore makeup in my collection, but I shopped at Ulta back then. I shopped at Sephora, so it was probably more half and half, and there were certainly some brands that I was always kind of looking forward to seeing what they were going to put out next. Now, back then, the releases weren't quite as frequent as they are now. It seems like every other month, certain brands are just cranking out new products constantly. And it's almost become really overwhelming, and it really has brought my enthusiasm down so much for some of these brands that I'm going to talk about. I have a little list here. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, is just the brands that I used to be really excited about that now I'm just kind of like, man, great, you're coming out with something else. You know, just that kind of enthusiasm is gone. I do have a couple drugstore brands here to mention, and then I also have obviously some higher end. I mean, these aren't like these would probably all be considered kind of mid-range type brands. I have to admit, the older that I've gotten, I really have put quality over quantity when it comes to makeup. I would rather save my money and buy like one really nice blush from, say, a brand like Hourglass or Marc Jacobs, rather than having, say, like 3 or 4 blushes from a brand like NYX or I don't know, Revlon or some other like drugstore brand, because I feel like there's definitely a difference in quality. And some of the brands that I'm going to be talking about today, part of the reason that I don't care for them that much anymore is because there's a difference in the quality from what I'm kind of looking for at this point in my life. And if you still love these brands, I think that's fantastic. The thing about makeup is it's so individual. Like what one person loves, another person could just be like, that does not appeal to me at all in any kind of way. That wouldn't look good on me. I don't like the wear of that. I don't like the feel of that. Like, you know, there's just makeup, there's so much to choose from, and there's so many things coming out constantly that it kind of, I guess, makes it great because there's a lot of choices. So, and some people are gonna love things and some people are not gonna love some things. So no offense meant to any of you if you still really love what these brands are putting out. It's just kind of my own personal preference. So here's my little list, and I'm going to talk about like some specifics with each brand, but you know, and I'll kind of summarize it at the end because I feel like there's just like an underlying kind of theme in this for me. So Too Faced. Too Faced is the first one that popped into my mind because back in the day, I loved Too Faced. I feel like every holiday collection that they put out, every you know, limited edition type of product that they put out, I just seemed to like fall in love with. I loved the packaging. I loved you know, kind of the motto behind the company. The creators, I thought, were just really kind of new and inventive with their ideas, and it just seems like now Too Faced is putting out the same thing over and over again. And I just don't think that the quality is that great. I feel like they are sacrificing quality for quantity. And Honestly, I have one Too Faced eyeshadow palette left in my collection, and it's the Natural Matte palette, and I love that one. And it's the one that comes in the tin format. Let me grab it real quick. This guy right here. I don't have it in its newest creation, but I've always thought that this was fantastic, and through all the declutters that I've done, this one has always survived because it's a really good one. But all of the Sweet Peach stuff, a lot of the, well, all of the holiday collections that I used to pick up, I've gotten rid of that stuff. It just wasn't doing it for me anymore. And I really feel like, especially with the eyeshadows, they were getting very difficult to apply. They started being patchy. There just wasn't the pigmentation or color payoff. The shimmers didn't seem very shimmery. Like, I feel like my standards kind of went up, and Too Faced, instead of just kind of even staying at the level that they were, started going like down. And I don't know, whatever they put out now, I just kind of roll my eyes at, like, you know, and a lot of their stuff has become like super hyper sexualized, and I don't know, that kind of weirds me out because it's also a brand that targets a younger audience, and I'm not a prude, but there are just some things that I just don't think are super appropriate for a younger audience. You know, when they came out with the Erica Jane collection, I kind of complained about this in an anti-haul. They had the DSL lip kit, and I was just like appalled that they would put something like that out, because if, you know, my daughter was, say, a preteen and we went to Ulta together and she saw it and she asked me like, what does this mean? Like, I'd be horrified to like have to explain that to like my preteen kid or my teenage daughter. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they tend to target a younger audience and are getting more and more like inappropriate as the company continues to be around. And I don't know, I'm just not into it. All right, next up, Tarte. Kind of the same reasons as Too Faced, with the exception of the stuff that I was talking about right there. But I feel like they crank out a lot of things, and now they're out with like this new Sugar Rush line that's geared towards a younger audience. You know, the products are supposed to be more affordable, but they're still kind of expensive for a teen audience, I feel. And the quality just isn't there. Now, I admit with Tarte eyeshadows, they never really were absolutely like an incredible formulation, but they always had like a good color range, and they were decent. I mean, especially for the holiday collections, like those were usually around like $40 to like $55, and for the amount that you got, I kind of always thought back then that they were worthwhile. But when I started using nicer eyeshadows like Viseart and Marc Jacobs, I just was like, oh yeah, no, these are not actually that good at all. And do I have any Tarte palettes left? I just gotta look in my collection real quick. I do have the original Tartelette palette left, but that's, and this like limited edition guy, because it has the exposed blush, which I really like. But yeah, these are just, I don't know. They just, the quality just isn't, it's just not there for me. So haven't really purchased from them. Don't really foresee myself, you know, spying a Tarte release on like Sephora or Ulta and being like, ooh, I need that. Like, it's just not there for me anymore. And they seem to do, and this is the same thing with Too Faced, they seem to do the same thing over and over again. It's always the same colors. It's always the same kind of setup. There's nothing new. There's nothing fresh. This one might be kind of surprising. It Cosmetics. I do still think they make really good brushes, obviously, but their makeup, I've tried a few things, and it just, long term, I just didn't really like it. You know, the mascara, the It mascara was good, but it definitely dried out very quickly. I've tried their eyeshadows, and you know, I think they were okay. They were kind of in the same vein as like Too Faced and Tarte, where they were okay, I guess, for the price, but I mean, you can probably find better for cheaper. The blushes, I never really was interested in. They had a really good brow liner that I loved. Their like skinny pencil, and then they did away with it. But whatever they come out with, like all of their like skincare stuff, I'm never drawn into it. I just feel like I'm kind of over It Cosmetics, which is crazy because when the founder first started showing up on QVC, I thought it was great that she had all this confidence and was taking her makeup off on camera and putting it back on, and she seemed to get really good results from her products. And yeah, I don't know. Their powder foundations worked great for a while, and then they would kind of break up on my skin very quickly. Oh, and here's Mr. Kong. So yeah, It Cosmetics just doesn't do it for me. Urban Decay. Urban Decay kind of kicked it off for all of us with their Naked palette back in the day. I know so many people were excited about that eyeshadow palette. And that was actually the last Urban Decay palette that I decluttered for my collection. All the other ones went a few declutters ago. And whatever they come out with, I'm just kind of like, meh. I don't know. It just, again, seems to be the same thing over and over again with all of their Vice palettes. Like, a lot of times it's just some crazy colors and then just a ton of like warm neutrals, and I don't know, that's not practical for me. That's not stuff that I wear, and I feel like for the price point, their formulation has gone down, like especially their eyeshadows. The lip products still seem to be okay, but the brand just overall isn't doing it for me. Nothing is grabbing my attention. Like when they came out with the Game of Thrones stuff, I was like, well, I don't watch that show, so like, it's just, there's nothing like exciting for me. These next couple, I don't think are totally fair for me to mention because they're not cruelty free, so I haven't bought from them a while ago, but I kind of put myself in the shoes of, even if I wasn't trying to purchase cruelty free, would I still be interested in these two brands? And the answer was just kind of like a resounding no. Benefit and MAC. MAC, those guys are the kings of coming out with collection after collection. I think I just saw on Ulta that they came out with like an Aladdin collection, and they just crank stuff out like crazy. And I used to use a lot of MAC stuff back in the day when I was doing makeup for brides and for boudoir photography. I had just a ton of like MAC in my collection, and that just seemed kind of like the go-to brand for makeup artists. And when I think about it, the quality of that stuff was never really all that great, but it was just what everybody else used, and I made it work. And yeah, I don't know, but even if I wasn't cruelty free, I don't think that there's anything that I would even repurchase at this point. Not even satin taupe, because there's so many like dupes and stuff that you can get in now. Oh, here's Penny. Hi, how are you? You guys probably noticed the cone when she was walking in. She got spayed yesterday, and she is not a very happy camper. Poor girl. But she's okay. And then Benefit. Gosh, Benefit also just seems to put out the same thing over and over again. They have the box blushes, and then they started putting them into these like, collections, and the quality just always seemed to be different than from the individual products. And that's one thing that has bothered me about like most of these brands, is when they've come out with like limited edition, like holiday type things, the quality is not the same as like the normal stuff that they produce, which I can kind of get. It's limited edition holiday stuff. Most people are going to buy it as a gift, and it's probably not going to be returned. And, the market, I feel like, which might be towards like a younger crowd, they might not be as particular about things. And so, it's fine to like mass produce that stuff. But yeah, Benefit is just, to me, also like, they recently revamped all of their brow stuff, which I guess that's nice, but I don't know, none of it just really grabs me. Like, it just doesn't. And then I actually have two drugstore brands, and one of them I know there's some drama about right now, Wet n Wild. If you have not heard about this news, apparently Wet n Wild has been selling in China, And this was just like a huge thing that broke this week. And I still haven't seen any like definitive news from, you know, like the cruelty-free kitty and Fira and those people who are like kind of the bigwigs in the cruelty-free community. I still haven't seen any like receipts, if you will, from them. I think they're trying to research it. I certainly hope that it's like a mistake, or that someone is selling it without the knowledge of the company, but I don't know how you would do that. So, but regardless, Wet n Wild, I don't know. They're good for a drugstore brand. I won't deny that, but I just feel like I outgrew them. And again, I would rather just save my money for like a nicer eyeshadow palette or a nicer blush than buy like a lot of stuff from Wet n Wild and just have things that I know I'm not going to end up using in the long run, because I don't like the formulation as much as maybe a more expensive product, or just something else. You know, it doesn't even have to be more expensive, but I just found myself over time like not reaching for the Wet n Wild stuff. I still have some singles of Nutty and Brulee, which I do think are really good shades in terms of eyeshadow singles from Wet n Wild. But I mean, you can find shades like that in every palette that is ever released anywhere. So, and then the other one is NYX. I used to really enjoy NYX, and I just don't anymore. And I think it's just another case of it's the same thing over and over again. There's only so many, you know, eyeshadow palettes that you can crank out, and only so many ways to, you know, do a blush single. And, you know, I understand that these brands have to kind of keep up with the new releases in order to be competitive, but I just feel like a lot of this stuff it's the same stuff over and over again. The quality just isn't there for me anymore. And it just doesn't excite me. You know, I used to get really excited about all of these brands whenever they cranked out something new, but it's just not there anymore. And a lot of the stuff that I buy, like, I mean, like, for example, when the VIB sale happened, you know, I could have gone for like the latest and greatest blush from whoever, but I just really like the formula of these blushes. I just really like the formula of these blushes. And so I just kind of tend to buy what I'm really truly interested in what I am truly interested in at this point. There we go. Words, use them in the proper order. Versus buying things for the sake of like just my YouTube channel. Obviously there's new things that are released that I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to try that. But I'm not nearly as like aggressive now with like, ooh, waiting for the latest thing to pop out and then being one of the first people to order it and then trying to get it up as fast as possible on YouTube to share my thoughts with you guys. I'm just kind of like over, and it's probably just age. Like you just kind of get past that kind of stuff. But yeah, like these are the brands that I'm just not super excited about anymore in general. I would rather buy, you know, another shade of a product that I know that I love and that I reach for frequently and that wears extremely well on my aging, oily, large pored skin. You know, like I know what my issues are at this point. I know what works with my issues. I know how to accentuate, you know, the features that I really like on me, and I just kind of stick with that stuff. And a lot of these releases just I don't know, they just kind of fly right by me, and I'm like, it's not really gonna do anything for me, so I'm just not gonna spend my money on that. So anyway, I want to know what brands you are kind of over at this point. It doesn't mean that I'm never gonna buy anything from the brands that I've mentioned here, but it just means that like I'm not constantly stalking their Instagrams anymore. I'm not like scouring YouTube for like what's, you know, the latest and greatest. I just, you know, if something catches my eye in the future, maybe I'll pick it up. But in all likelihood, I'll probably miss most of these releases because I don't know. They're just brands that I'm no longer into. So I want to know what brands you are no longer into. Thank you for sitting through this video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'm gonna go find my little Penny because I think she walked out of here, and get her a snack because I think she might be hungry. So, all right, take care. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.